Azalea arcane barrier on that.
Skullbones, arcane barrier, and blade break.
Hello guys, welcome to Art of the Arrow. My name is Michael, and for the first video I thought I'd show you my what I call retro Azalea list played at the local Armoury. And for the first round we are playing Briar, played by Paul Cram. So just a heads up for the video guys, I will be showing all 3 rounds, but I won't be showing them in the full match. I'm just going to be showing the key parts of every match, that, you know, just to show you how Azalea does most of her turns, how she does fare against in the matchups. I'm just noticing now in the video that Paul making a rune chant there, you can't actually see some of the cards because of the lighting from the ring light. I do apologise for that. I will try and keep commenting on what them cards actually are that you aren't going to be able to see very clearly. So as you can see for turn 0, neither me or Paul had great opening hands. Paul pitching 2 reds just to make a rune chant and pass priority. I didn't quite see what the 2 red cards were, but me using Art of War turn 0 just to banish a bolting shot and pitching an Oasis Respite just to cycle that hand, because obviously I didn't have a great opening hand either, even if Paul was still planning on not attacking. But already I can see mistakes being made. My Tunic missed it for turn 1 by playing 3 of a kind, and yeah, brilliant. Now for anyone who is a Ranger player, they know that I'm doing a bit of a risky business here by breaking bullseye braces just to reload a bolting shot. It's a red one, so it'll be 5 go again on hit reload, but I no longer have AB2. So I am just doing this just to push damage, because Paul is well aware that I haven't used Death Dealer to reload any ammo. So in this matchup, what I'm trying to do, mainly the only thing I can do as an Azalea player is just push a red in the ledger at any point that I can. And Paul there blocking it out just to be sure that I don't get the reload in case I might by chance have a buff up, because obviously 3 of a kind being out, I've now limited myself to just the base attacks, and bolting shot's my only way around it. There's the red in the ledger that I'm really wanting. Unfortunately I can't buff it up, but I have already got 2 cards from Paul's hand, so this is either going to get 1 or 2 more unless he has a setup plan in mind. So that's totaling 10 damage with a very, very good on hit. For anyone who doesn't know what red in the ledger does, it is Azalea specialization arrow, which limits the opponent to only do 1 action. They can't gain action points and they can't get go again essentially. It just limits all those go wide player heroes to just doing 1 thing on their turn that is an action. Obviously instances are different, but limiting someone like Briar or Fi to 1 action is essentially everything that I really want to do. I can't quite actually see what that card is. I'm going to wait until he puts it to the grave and see what it actually is. But it looks like I'm just going to take it. It's not much of a big deal apparently. So it looks like I took 2 arcane. I thought it was. It's a red Arcanic Crackle. So it was 1 rune chant, 1 arcane and 3 physical damage. So this follow-up turn here, I've realised I'm using a Sikkim shot in Arsenal. I must have Arsenal that from the last turn. I've actually remembered me Tunic, so, you know, round of applause to me, hooray. Having Sikkim shot in Arsenal is just brilliant. It's just a simple 4 go again, and it just pushes damage, and it lets me start up a brilliant turn, basically. Now this is what brings the flap to my jack, okay? Seek and Destroy and red in the ledger. This is 1 action. If it hits, no go again, and also they'll discard the hand and Arsenal at the end of their turn. So if this pushes any damage through, both effects will come through. So this snatch is going to be for 4, and on hit draws a card. It doesn't look like I hit with that red in the ledger unfortunately, but now he's playing a Spellbound Creeper and Channel Mount Heroic. So it's coming in for 7, and he has his go again on 100 draw, but luckily I had 2 take covers as he was playing Channel Mount Heroic as an attack reaction. I managed to actually fully block it. So as I mentioned before in the video, I will be just, you know, showing the highlights, showing just different aspects of the game. I'm not going to show it in full, but as you can see, Azalea is ahead of Briar, and I just wanted to show that even when Briar was in a good place at this point and Azalea wasn't, she still could keep up with the best of heroes, unless you're taking damage like what I'm doing, and I'm eating my own words at the minute. So in that turn there from Paul, I did take 12 damage, and I'm leading up with the Ravenous Rabble to reveal a Remorseless. But I'm doing something that not many people actually tend to do, which is actually use the Perch Grapplers. The idea of my Azalea list back then was to actually sort of play with people's minds a little bit, and to kind of go, right, I know what's coming, I need to actually block, rather than thinking too hard. But Rain Rays is absolutely brilliant. So Rain Rays is with Perch Grapplers, it is doing damage, and it is now also given my Bolton Shot 4 go again. Unfortunately, it's blue. It would have been a lot better if it was red, but because of it being blue, and Paul knowing that I have got a bit of a lethal turn coming, he has had to block that out. Now, because of that turn, all Paul can do is just swing the Rosetta, and I'm happy just to take the 3 damage, 1 from the Rune Chant, 1 from Rosetta. And now that Endless Arrow that hit from last turn ended up going through. Looks like I've Azalea'd from the Read the Glide Path, and now this is a Dominate Go Again on hit reload. This is absolutely brilliant. If you've noticed, Paul does not have any armour to block with, so he is solely relying on his blocks from his actual cards in hand, and the embodiments of Earth that Briar can make. So turns like that, me pushing a lot more damage than his 3 from the before, but a lot of heroes and a lot of players are doing this to counter Azalea, even when they've got just the 1 action. Command and Conquer just to absolutely devastate my Skullbone turns, as what can happen is it can be very lethal, and me going ahead and just fully blocking that, because even if I just get rid of 2 cards or 3 cards, I'm more than happy to just block it out. And of course it's paid off, because now I've just getting another Dominate red in the ledger from Azalea. That's all you ever want, and especially with no armour to block with, he's going to have to take damage and make use of his 1 action. So now I am doing again a turn where I have reloaded from Take Aim into an Endless Arrow, making him think that I've either wanting this to hit, or do I have another thing coming. I don't have Go Again currently, so he is having to kind of risk how much I'm actually going to be coming in for. It's currently for 7, but if that Endless Arrow hits, it's going to be coming back to hand. Looks like he is blocking 7 there. Yep, and the Razor Reflex is being played. So now this is on hit, comes back to hand, and Go Again with the 1 remaining floating, meaning that Endless Arrow. Yep, it doesn't have a defense reaction, so that Endless Arrow is coming back to hand. It's going to be reloaded once again, and then push 4 again. And that is game. He has only a 2 block, so that is game for round 1. What I will say in this matchup is, for Azalea to be Briar, it is a 50-50 match. It just depends on who actually gets the luckier draws, I would suppose. But it was a good game all in all. So for round 2, I was playing against another Runeblade Viserai played by Ivan. Unfortunately, I cannot show the actual footage, because the way I had the camera set up, it was on the top of Ivan's head. But what I can do is just give a brief description on what happened in the match. This game was just a race, but unfortunately, on the turns I didn't see red in the ledger, I was not keeping up with Viserai at all. He was out-hitting me, and eventually, when the scores went all the way down to, I think it was 1 health for Azalea, 7 health for Viserai, I ended up with a hand I had to take up, like, the biggest risk ever, and this is the hand. So this is my hand, and I used Take Aim to reload, Razor Reflex, and Skullboned into an Endless Arrow. Bearing in mind he was on 7 health, I used that to just buffer right up to 13 Dominate, and took the win in the end. That was lucky as anything, but my last round will be against Icelander. My last round being played, there was 4 rounds, but for the last round, I'll explain after. So in this matchup against Icelander, it is played by Greg. As you can see, he is proxy in Tunic. I wasn't too bothered about it, but I am playing a different approach to this. I am using Dreadbore instead of Death Dealer. I'm only doing that because this is a different Icelander than you actually are used to. For anyone who's never actually played his. And as you can see, for an opening turn, I'm coming in for 12 total thanks to Dreadbore. But I think you can kind of work out with Dreadbore, it stops the other player using defense reactions from hand. So Sleep Dart isn't the best one to hit Icelander with, considering he's just hitting them on your turns anyway. but it's still damage on turn 0, which is always a great thing. So coming right out of the belt, he is just coming in for Arcane, but it's more the on-hit of having to pay more resources on his turn, leaving me with lack of cards and possibly lack of resources. And if he's going to be giving me more Frostbite, this is going to be a bit of a, hypothermia, so it's giving me a Frostbite. It's not necessarily to stop the go again, but it is just stopping my turn entirely, because I'm having to pitch a red and loading up a 0 cost, but without another resource to actually hit him back with, it's just basically going to stay there for 1 turn and giving him a chance to get out that Channel Lake Frigid. So as you can see, even cards like Seek and Destroy are now costing 1 extra. If he by chance does an Icelander on this turn and plays an ice card, he's going to give me a Frostbite, making the next thing cost 2 extra. And he's played Brain Freeze, which is a very, very annoying, because I'm having to pay another resource on his turn just to stop him freezing my arsenal. It doesn't necessarily annoy Azalea too much, because she can just Azalea that card away and just use the next one that is on top of deck, and that one is no longer frozen. But by the looks of things, I was quite bothered about it by paying the 1 and then firing it back. Greg for getting his draw from Brain Freeze, because he was more bothered about stopping my arrow actually coming through. But Seek and Destroy is coming through. This is essentially like the Sleep Dart of Icelander. It stops the card in Arsenal from being played, because at the end of his turn he will have to discard his hand and Arsenal. So at this point he has now got an Amulet of Ice out, which is also a banned card alongside Bullseye Braces, because apparently they are very OP. What I'm about to do is apparently give him the middle finger, but that is what brings the custard to that flapjack I said earlier. Ravenous Rabble into a red in the ledger. It's absolutely brilliant, because of course I am going to Azalea straight into that one. I haven't even used the bow yet, but unfortunately I am using null rune boots, so I don't have Snapdragons or Perch Grapplers to give it go again. But this is going to be coming in for a dominated attack. Any buff up at this point is just a bonus, but buffing it up by 3, possibly any more. I am just waiting to see if he has any response, because he could essentially stop it. I do always give a bit of a gap for wizard players, because obviously Icelander and Kano, they like to do things on your turn as an instant, so I do try and take my time with this, especially when I'm dead excited to hit him with that Dominate Red in the ledger turn. So just like the red in the ledger from the previous Ravenous Rabble, it is showing a Razor Reflex, and then I'm skullboning it away just in case, because it isn't really the best order to do it, but against Icelander I'm possibly not even going to attack. So I'd rather just push at some damage before them Frostbites come in, especially when I have such a lead like I have now. And I don't want to be blind Azalea, and especially into a Razor Reflex. I'm blind Azalea now, so I'm kind of just risking it all here, and I'm hoping that Art of War, that's even better, because now 3 of a kind's being played, I can play that Art of War, buff up or give something go again. I'm guessing I'm going to give a +1 and banish, but it doesn't really matter which one I'm doing. I'm definitely going to be banishing to be drawing and cycling more cards. Obviously he's got every opportunity right now. Oh my god, I've just noticed there, 3 Razor Reflexes are now at the bottom of the deck. Whoa, Battering Bolt. That's a nice one. So this is another combination that I absolutely love. Dreadbore stopping D reactions coming through from hand, and Battering Bolt, if it hits, he will have to reveal his hand and discard any non-actions, including defense reactions that he is not being able to play it, and take a life for it. Unfortunately, I have not hit this time, but the amount of times that has actually saved the game for me in the middle of a match when I've lost tempo, especially against the likes of Bravo, Oldham, stuff like that. It is an absolute brilliant game saver for me. So I've just been reviewing the clip there of me trying to play an Oasis before the Frostbite. I was trying to make sure that at this point it looks like we have someone there who is also a level 0 judge, and he also plays at the Armouries. And we'll always ask him for any complicated rulings or if anything we're unsure of, just to make sure the games do get played properly. And it looks like I can't because the Frostbites have already come in. But anyway, at this point Greg has Amulet of Ice and Eyes in Hell Weather Vane out. That's why them Frostbites are coming in. And then he's coming in with a freezing point, so it is coming in for a really decent amount of on hits. Not as much on hits, sorry, just more of giving me Frostbites to try and shut down my turn, whilst dealing quite a bit of arcane damage back to me. Looks like I'm not able to do the Oasis, because I think as soon as you fuse Freezing Point, you get the Frostbite immediately, and he can hold on to that Amulet of Ice as an instant as long as he wants. He can just suddenly instant it, and then completely get rid of my hand. My mistake, sorry, it looks like you can do it before the Frostbites come in. I'll have to get some clarity just to make sure that is the proper way of playing the Verlin, but unfortunately I do have a handful of reds and I'm having to just play them all and kind of skip the turn, take the 3 damage, giving him an opportunity to do what he wants as a turn, and finally he gives me the Frost Hex. Basically, for what Greg's Icelander was, it's to give you as many Frost Hexes as possible and Frostbites and just deal arcane, shutting down your turn so you're not going to be hitting back for as much as possible. Now, back to my turn. I have loaded up another Battering Ball. This might be a great combination. I'm just waiting at this point to see if Greg does have any instances he wants to do, and he does. He is Brain Freezing again, so he's giving me a Frostbite. And I'm instanting the Tunic before that Frostbite does come in and pay in it. But I still do have the Frostbite to pay for, which I'm paying for immediately with this Wraith Glide Path, and I'm going to be opting into something I like, because I'm immediately Azalea straight into another Battering Bolt. So it looks like this is going to be lethal. I'm giving him the opportunity if it was an instant. He did not have an instant, and this was going to be for 9 Dominate. And with the Dreadball being out and having just Tunic on 1 and being able to block 3, I don't believe he had anything else. That was going to be game. Making this Armoury 3-0 for Azalea, so it just proves that she was playable, it just not as much as what other heroes were. But I hope you all enjoyed the video, and hopefully I'll catch you next time.